Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are live, and we're live everywhere. So if you are watching tonight on Facebook, thank you. If you're watching on uh, Bang Shift's YouTube channel, thank you. If you are watching on our Bang Shift Facebook page, thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. Um, we have a lot to talk about tonight. Before we get started, I do want to thank again all of you guys for tuning in. I want to thank our sponsors. Couldn't do all of this without guys like Holly and of course Optima Batteries. Definitely the guys over at Motion Raceworks, as well as MacFab Beadlocks. There are a bunch of you watching, and we do appreciate that. I am going to tell you that I have all of the chat going on, okay, here today, um, including Scott Brown being a smartass. I love it. And so I have all of you guys here in the chat. So this is how we're going to do this tonight. So I have a bunch of topics to talk about on the drag and drive side of things, but then I also want questions from you, but I'm going to open that up when we get close. And the truth is, you can't handle the truth is absolutely right. So this is going to be arguably the most unbiased account that you're going to get about any drag and drive events. And that is because, quite frankly, I don't have any alliance to any of them. I love them all. Obviously, I have favorites with some stuff about each one, and I'm going to be very explicit about those things. But first off, the truth about drag and drive events is that they're awesome. Okay, it doesn't matter whether it's drag week, it doesn't matter whether it's Rocky Mountain Race Week, it does not matter whether it's Sick Week, whatever it is, they are awesome. And I assure you, you will like them all. The top six, so to speak, are right here below. So a little history before we go into the details. The very first drag and drive event, Hot Rod Magazine's Drag Week, started in 2005 by David Freiberger. For any of you out there that do not know, the way that Freiberger came up with this was directly, yes, Richard Guido, I do want to know what your trip cost. Shoot me a text, or send me a message on Facebook. But the first event was started as a result of One Lap of America. One Lap of America, invented by Brock Yates, had been around for years and years and years. And Freiberger said, hey, what if we did a drag racing version of that? Now, I'll be honest with you. The first few drag weeks sort of could compete with One Lap in how hard they were, but none of them do anymore. One Lap is considerably further distance. They race at some days, they race twice a day. It is a whole other level of competition compared to drag and drive events. So just so you know that. The second drag and drive event to come around was the Drag Challenge in Australia, as far as I am aware. Drag Challenge started a few years later, and then Rocky Mountain Race Week, and then Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0. Miles of Mayhem also happening in Canada, somewhere in there, and then Midwest Drags, and of course this year Sick Week. So it has been a lot of years, right? Again, 05 until now. Okay, we're talking 17 years of doing this. I was on the very first Hot Rod Magazine's Drag Week. I've been on, I don't know, 10 of them. I've been on every Rocky Mountain Race Week and Rocky Mountain Race Week 2.0. We have now done Sick Week. I am well aware of all of the ins and outs of all of the events, and they are all an absolute riot. So the truth is, drag and drive events are cool. The other truth is, drag and drive events suck. Okay, they are the kind of event that will have you in love, but they also will absolutely drive you crazy because they can be so frustrating. Okay, it is unbelievable how much time and effort and money goes into these events. So one of the things that gets asked all the time, and this goes for every one of these drag and drive events. One of the things that gets asked all the time is, what the hell do all of you people do for a living that you can take a week off of work to go race your cars across the country? How much money do you make? Because this has to be expensive. And how much does it cost to go on this event for the week? I can tell you that generically speaking, if you didn't do any repairs of any kind to your car before taking it on one of these drag and drive week-long events, you didn't have to buy new tires. You didn't have to do anything except load it on your trailer and haul it to wherever the start of this is, then do the trip and come back. You're going to spend a minimum of $3,500. Now, I know you don't want your wives to know this, or wives don't want their husbands to know this in some cases, but I am telling you what, it is ridiculously expensive to go on these events. Now, the vast majority of people are spending more than that. The vast majority of people, I would estimate, are spending somewhere in the $4,500 range. Now, if you want to do the math on that and you want to do some comparison, you can go on a very lush, awesome, rad Mexican vacation for that kind of money, like epic Mexican vacation for that kind of money. You could go for half that amount of money and go spend a week in Playa del Carmen. You can go on cruise, 2 weeks of a cruise to wherever you want to go for that kind of money. It is not cheap. With that said, there you go. Richard Guido just chimes in, said his visa bill for the week, which his was about 8 days, something like that, $6,500. And Kyle, who rode with him, and his dad, who rode with him, paid for some gas and some hotels. So that is not cheap. I will tell you, everybody, you got to be prepared for that. You're going to spend real money. Now, the other thing you have to remember about this is that even if you spent the crazy amount of money that we're talking about, right? Let's say you spent $4,000, you've got that budgeted $4,000, $4,500. You went, okay, we're going to be smart. We're going to do it. We can make this work. And something breaks. Okay. If something breaks, ask Cooper Baguetti. Cooper blew up the transmission in his Camaro in grand fashion and had to pay to get the entire thing rebuilt on race week. At day number 1, the thing blew up. Okay, that is a big expense that he obviously wasn't planning on. Now, he had the right attitude and he said, hey, if it didn't break here, it was going to break anyway. So I was going to have to do this to the car. But with that said, he still ended up having to pull the credit card out and spend some real money fixing the transmission. And that is a total normal deal. Okay. You are going to have some kind of carnage, or you need tires, or you need whatever. So I always tell everybody, if you're not willing to budget $5,000 to do this, then don't do it. I mean, it is crazy how quickly this can add up. And I don't want to paint this as a negative, okay? I just want to make sure you guys understand before you get into it, because every year you see guys that get out on these trips and they are just dying because they're like, oh my God, I'm broke. What do I do? All right. So we're just trying to be real here. Now, with that said, you're going to make some of the most amazing friends, some of the most amazing memories, and you're going to learn some incredibly valuable lessons if you do a drag and drive event. Whether you go on Rocky Mountain Race Week, whether you go on, Adam Dory is sorry, Adam's sending me messages. The memories that you're going to make, the lessons you're going to teach your kids, like Tom Stark, right? Here he is with his little kid, Blaine, and he is absolutely teaching this kid all the right lessons. He's having a great time. He is going to learn to swear a lot way earlier than he needed to, but still, the kid is learning some cool stuff, helping dad tune the car, meeting all these great people and having a great time. I can tell you that some of my best friends in the world, Guys like Adam Dory, guys like Eric Yost, I met them on these events, and they are great people. You are going to meet people like this as well. In fact, on these trips, it's funny because I meet people even today who end up doing a drag and drive event who've never done one before. And they come and they go, hey, I met you on Power Tour when you were the announcer for Hot Rod Magazine and this year or whatever. And all of those things happen that are crazy. Now, part of those amazing moments, those amazing memories, okay, are the things like Bill Fowler is talking about in the chat. Bill says, you haven't even mentioned roadside entertainment venues and bail money. All of those things are legit and should kind of be considered. Not going to lie. Now, you can eat hot dogs on drag and drive events, or you can eat filet mignon, and it all depends on you. And the truth of the matter is you can't plan for any of it, because there are plenty of times where we've eaten Sour Patch Kids, Monster Energy drink, and little chocolate donuts, and that's your meal for the night. And there's other times where you find yourself near a restaurant and go, oh my God, let's all go eat. Dominic D'Amato, that is not true, except maybe that one time, but whatever. Keith Turk also in the house. Dominic D'Amato, Adam Dory. Adam is on his way into the show, actually. Drive-through porn. I have not seen the drive-through porn there, Keith Turk, but yes. Gas station burritos, as Scott Liggett said. Sicard 420, is there a link to a schedule for this year's upcoming events? I do not have that up here, but we'll get you that information as we go tonight. There is a lot of stuff that you are going to experience on these trips that you never thought you were going to before, right? So you're going to meet people that are way more talented than you. You're going to meet people that are way less talented than you. And the key is you need to help the people that have less talent than you that may need your help, because you also are going to need to get help from the guys that have way more talent than you at some point or another. Otis, no, come here. Now Otis is like, hey, I'm pissy. I have been a lazy sleeping bastard all day long, but now that you're live, I'm going to be a jackass. Yeah. Chase the bone. It'll be fine. So I'm reading the chat as well. David Udy, Josh Udy, all the gang on the way to South Georgia Motorsports Park, which is going to be awesome. Keith Turk says it was a drive-through strip club closed due to the lack of talent. Well, that sounds like most of the places we would go on any of these events. Now, speaking of that, so the routes, okay, I got a whole list of things here to talk about. So the routes are very, very different on these events, okay? There is no doubt, no offense to any of the rest of them. Perhaps the Canadians may have some good stuff going on here in the Miles of Mayhem, but in the United States, there is no drag and drive event that has a better scenic route than Rocky Mountain Race Week 1.0. 2.0 goes all over the Midwest. It could be anywhere, but the 1.0 goes through the Rocky Mountains. It is stunningly beautiful. There is absolutely no doubt that that is one of the reasons you want to do that event. The routes are all otherwise very similar. You drive a few hundred miles, you race. You drive a few hundred miles, you race. One of the biggest differences is that the only event that has nighttime drag racing is Rocky Mountain Race Week. And the reason for that is so that we are driving during the day, so that there are spectators there at night, and so that we're not driving in the dark with deer. Okay, you want to talk about it, deer. Mike Pryka can tell you very well that the lovely, just gorgeous, used to be real shiny Nova right here on the screen. That bad boy was the victim of running into a deer on sick week and tore the entire nose of it up. Now, it finished the week without a hood and a wadded up fender and one all lazy eye, all looking over here to the right. But they did make it. They made it through. They finished the week, but not without carnage. So my preference is to do it like Rocky Mountain Race Week and drive in the evening. It is, drive during the day, so we race in the evening. It's just a lot nicer. It really is. And every single year on drag week, cars run into deer. I've almost crashed into deer multiple times on drag week. It's scary. It's dangerous. It's also much harder to stay awake driving at night than it is to stay awake when it's daylight hours and there's, light outside. So for me, I prefer that. But the original OG format, like on drag week, is race in the morning until early afternoon and then hit the road. And that usually means getting to hotel rooms at a late enough hour that you wonder why you paid for one in a lot of cases. So, but that's, again, all part of the adventure and the fun. If you are, yes, Mike Crow hit a deer in Kansas. Mike Crow hit a deer so severely in his dart that it took years to fix the dart. It would have been totaled if it wasn't the fact that Mike is a guy that, builds cars. So it just would not have been good if it was me. Like, I would have had to have totaled the car. James McIntyre, armadillo are pretty bad also. They are when your car's that low. Yes, I can agree with you on that one. As a guy who drives only really low cars, I get you. So one thing that Little Hippie 09 is saying, I've always wished that CB radios were a thing on drag and drive events. I agree wholeheartedly. And and I tell you that I have been thinking about that a lot, actually, because I am planning my own event. And I really thought that having CBs would be just a cool idea for everybody to communicate and have a good time. And I think it would just be fun. So the routes, like I said, you go a different route. Every day is a different road. Every day is a different adventure. Keep in mind that you are most likely going to break stuff on the road. So that is the other thing that makes it tough. If it's the middle of the night and you break down, you're stuck on the side of the road. It's just harder to get back to where you need to be. It's harder to get parts. It's all of those things. So you got to keep that in mind. And we'll go over that a little bit more as well. Scott Liggett, truck stop CB purchases. Yes. Okay. Purses. All right. So my understanding is that the lovely Australians give some money away, that they have a purse. I believe that the Miles of Mayhem do. I know Miles of Mayhem actually have a purse. Rocky Mountain Race Week does as well. Drag Week has no purse. You win a trophy and a jacket and a guitar. Sick Week's the same way. Midwest Drags, etc. Rocky Mountain Race Week, you actually have the ability to win tens of thousands of dollars. The total purse this year will be upwards of 50 grand. There's 45 or so in the regular, purse, if you will. And there's some more stuff that's coming with some special awards and what have you that we may talk about here in a little bit, actually, as well. So the one interesting thing about all of the events is that typically there are people that started out on drag week and they were very loyal to drag week, right? And then people that were Rocky Mountain Race Week people and they were loyal to Rocky Mountain Race Week. People that were Midwest Drags people, et cetera, et cetera. Sick Week brought people together, which was great. And there's just a huge group of people from all of the drag and drive events. But what I realized during Sick Week was that how do I want to put this? That a bunch of you are clueless People that absolutely should have known because their names go along with drag and drive events historically, literally had no idea that you got a purse at Rocky Mountain Race Week or at Miles of Mayhem. And don't get me wrong, Matt Frost doesn't make the point isn't the money. He wants to give the money to give back to the racers, but that's not what he pushes. It's family, right? It's it's an adventure. It's people surviving together, because that's really what it's all about. But there are a lot of big prizes, a lot of money, etc., on the line for some of these events. So it surprised me at Sick Week the number of people that had no clue. It also surprised me the number of people on Sick Week who didn't know other aspects of events. So it was really kind of entertaining, because like Tom Bailey and I were sitting there having a conversation, and we were doing an interview, and he was talking about the Sick Ward, which is the cruise version, right? You're doing everything but racing. So you're still doing the route. You're still having a good time. You're cruising with everybody and having fun. And he based that off of Road Week, which is the same part of the trip on Rocky Mountain Race Week. And we started that several years ago. And it's great. It's an awesome way to be involved. In fact, if you're not sure that you can hang, if you're not sure your car is worthy of going down the road, then bring it and come and do the Sick Ward or Rocky Mountains Road Week. You can do Road Week on 1.0 or 2.0. It is a great time had by all, and you absolutely should do it. It's half the price. It gets you and your people in your car into the races, gets you the windshield banners and t-shirts and all that stuff. It's super, super cool. So you guys definitely want to, embrace that part of it. You can't do that on Drag Week. They don't allow it, unfortunately. And that's sort of why we put it together for some of these other events, because it's just fun and it's more inclusive and it gets people going, and it doesn't result in any cheating differences or any of that stuff, because cheating happens. Dude, there's an Adam Dory in the, hold on. Are you ready, people? Look at that guy.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, you're a sexy son of a bitch today. I'm not going to lie.
What do you mean by today?
Exactly. How was work today, Adam Dory?
Work's amazing, man. I mean, it's whatever. It's work.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited that you invited me to this thing.
Well, yeah. I it's funny because I was planning on inviting you and then totally forgot to invite you, and then remembered to invite some other people too. So there could be a few others that are joining us as well. But you and I have been doing events, road or drag and drive events together now for several years. We've been all over the country. You've done several drag and drive events as well, right? So you're
Absolutely.
a veteran, right? So as we go through this, you can help me explain to some of these folks, and we're going to address questions as we get going later too. So I just talked about purses. We were talking about the route. We were talking about all that.
Yeah, I was actually watching a little bit as I was driving. I actually went and got acupuncture.
Oh,
yeah.
Why? Are you like all zen right now or what?
No, well, yeah. I mean, who's not? But no, as a paratrooper, I'm a little screwed up, if you know what I'm saying. Just kind of everyone knows I'm a little screwed
levels,
up.
But yeah,
right. But yeah, no. So yeah, I was getting needles jammed in my back, and I jumped in my car, and you said, "Hey, you want to join me on this thing?" And then there was a little bit of a question of the timing, of course, because you were like, "Hey, I'm doing this at this time, my time," and I'm like, "Great, I'm in. That's in like 45 minutes, right?" And you're like, "No, dude, we're doing it right now." Okay.
So here you are.
All right. So here we are.
So
anyway,
let's talk about a couple of special things on these events. Okay. The very first drag week, Steve Atwell brought a legitimate Hemi lightweight dart that he owns more Hemi lightweight cars than anybody on the planet. He brought one and did the entire event with his wife, and they put lifters in the car and did all kinds of junk like crazy. It's how Atwell and I met, putting lifters in the Hemi lightweight. Remember, you can bend everything by touching it. And he told me to sit on the fender to put lifters in this thing. It was crazy, but he won the very first impromptu Spirit of Drag Week award. And that started a cycle that has amazing people that have won that award and a whole slew of other similar and different awards that have come in various drag and drive events. And we have a Spirit of Rocky Mountain Race Week award. But you also have started up some new awards, and they started doing that at some of the other events because they were paying attention to you. So you tell everybody about those while I let Otis outside so he doesn't come and chew my leg off.
That sounds awesome. No, so I kind of on my own started up a Rookie of the Year deal, and I started up a Young Gun deal. I threw in 250 of my own dollars kind of in this pot, and then I beg, borrow, and steal money as I go, and I come up with, about I think the first one we had maybe 14 or $1,500, and then we split that pot between the Rookie and between the Young Gun. So a Rookie is you've never done one of these before, a Midwest Drags or any of those. And a Young Gun is you're 21 or younger when we finish the thing, and then you qualify for it there. And then I just split whatever money I get between those two people. And like Red Hat Scotty made a Rookie of the Year trophy, which was super cool. But no, I mean, kind of all those like side deals are very, very cool. And like Sick of the Sick, Stefan Rossi won that at the Sick Week deal, and that was, I mean, no one deserved that more than that dude. Unfortunately wadded up that Nova, very first day, and but continued on the rest of the week, and I talked to him a little bit in the staging lanes, and he just, he was like, I'm getting some hate on the live stream, and I'm not sure why. And I said, just let those people be in their parents' basement.
Yeah, exactly.
Come out here and keep enjoying racing.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely.
So,
hey, Monty Fitzgerald in the house. Speaking of Chevy 2s, Adam Dory does have a new YouTube channel for those of you that are in the dark on that. So check that out. Also, Damian James Bacon is in the chat. Said he came all the way from the UK to take part in Sick Ward and was one of the best weeks of his life. I have to say that I know I speak for Adam. It is so awesome when you guys come from all over the world and you like see one of us and are so stupid that you think it's actually important. And you look at us and go, oh my God, you're awesome. And I look at you like, wow, you have very low standards, but I love you for it. And so all of you UK guys, thank you so much.
Right.
It really did mean the world to us.
There were a bunch of those dudes on Sick Ward, or at Sick Week that were following along with that ugly 55 car, and ugly 56. I'm sorry, and they've got like a buddy that has a 56, and they got hooked up with Joe Barry, and they all came out to come check the thing out, and maybe are going to ship that car over for one of these drag and drives for next year.
So there's a lot of participation from all over the country and all over the world. Sick Week, we had Australians, we had Brits, that now live in California. That's pretty standard for all of these drag and drive events, people. So Drag Week's had the Aussies coming forever. They build cars just to do this. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, we've seen people from all over the place, haven't we, Adam?
Oh yeah, for sure. And like, a bunch of those Aussies even have cars that they store here. So they only have to get themselves here. They fall in on a car and then they're ready to go. Harry Hall with Hall Ass Garage.
Oh
is one of those. And he had, he's got Sexual Steve.
That's right.
That Drag Week car they pulled out of the freaking, it was in a field and they ran it stock with a stock 396 and it was doing crap like shearing off ring gear bolts and all sorts of crazy stuff. And then they brought it back the next year, and it had the 2 turbos sticking out of the hood. And the best picture ever probably is Keith Turk looking at that thing. That's still a total rat track, but now it has 1,200 horsepower. And he's just looking at it going, oh, my God. That's a fantastic picture.
So that gets us to our next topic. As I'm showing Daniel Hoffman's message about the 1 second reaction time. We will discuss that later, Daniel, but I don't want you to think we forgot about you. But to go into tech is an important one. So you mentioned Keith Turk. So Keith Turk and his wife Tanya, as well as Donna and Joe, Joe Timney, they have been the go-to tech group for Drag Week since its inception, with very few exceptions, and they're just awesome people. Very good friends with them. Love them all. They are great to have around. They are also the staff that handled all of the tech and timing and everything for Sick Week. But they're not the ones at all of the events. We have great staff at all these different events that really do a great job. At Rocky Mountain Race Week, it's June, which is Matt's much better looking and sweeter and nicer half. And her great group of volunteer ladies that do all of that. There's a great group of volunteers that do tech as well. But tech is a contentious, sometimes scary and intimidating. It can be horrible, or it can be really simple. And some of that is based on the event, and some of that is also just based on how prepared you are.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. And that is really from both ends. People running the event need to kind of have their stuff going. People that are running their cars through tech need to have their stuff all set up as well. And it really is it's a concert of just making sure that everything jives to get that stuff done. And it is sometimes very long. It is sometimes very tedious. A lot of guys are bringing cars from tracks that don't even get teched on a normal basis. And they show up with this, like Schedule 40 roll cage in the thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, this is like a 480 car in the 8th, and I've never run it in the quarter. And people are like, dude, are you kidding me? Right.
Well, and so, we'll be honest here. Again, we said we're not sugarcoating this thing. So Drag Week and this year's Sick Week tech just suck. They just do. They're horrible. It is a giant pain in the ass. It is just like one of those things where people want to scream. Okay. I have absolute faith that Sick Week will be different next year and much smoother and quicker. That has nothing to do with the staff. It's just sort of the process that takes longer. And the number
and a lot
rules.
of it's who, right. And a lot of it is who techs the cars. I was at a Drag Week where the track was teching the cars, and they were really meticulous on every car. And so it took 8 hours to get 350 cars through. That's just part of the deal. And again, the rule package, if the rule book is this thick, and it is for Drag Week, and then therefore is for Sick Week, and then again for Midwest Drags, there's going to be questions. You're going to be in a weird gray area where you're going to need to get that stuff handled. And, that just, you got to go find Turk. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's, he's over here helping this guy with his problem. You need to go over here, hang out, do your thing. So that is definitely a difference that I've noticed in a few of the events. I've never been to a Midwest event. I've heard that they're fine, but they have a lower car count as well at that event. True. So it's probably an easier thing to get through.
Yeah. And you got to remember that too, folks, when you're waiting in line, that you're talking about 350 cars or so. And they have to go through two kinds of tech. So you have to go through your NHRA tech, right? The tech on the vehicle itself to make sure that it is safe to go down the racetrack at whatever particular speed it techs to. So your car may tech, because you have a roll cage in it, it may tech to 850. You may never go quicker than 950 because that's as quick as it'll go, but you would legally be allowed to go 850 based on the tech. Now, conversely, if your car has, no roll bar in it, then, and it's an old car, then you're only going to be able to run 1150 and that's it. Right. So if it's a newer car, you can run quicker, as long as it still has factory seat belts and seats and airbags in it. There's all kinds of stuff like that. So that is one aspect of tech. But then the second one is for the particular class that you plan on running in your particular event.
Am I back?
You're here.
Back. Sorry.
Oh no, you didn't go away. You just sort of blopped. You just blipped and then you were here. So you were good.
That's fine. All good.
But when you go to a drag week, let's say you're looking at modified class, modified has very specific regulations as far as, versus street race, et cetera, with regards to suspension systems, every component on the suspension, tire size, et cetera, interior, et cetera, et cetera. Rocky Mountain Race Week is much more like going to a drag race in that it is based predominantly on tire size and weight. And that weight is typically based on what kind of power combo you have. If you are in one of the index classes, none of those things matter. It's just, hey, you're in an index class, you're going to run 10.0, knock yourself out, go out and run 10.0. So there's a lot of different stuff that's going on depending on the event. And again, your attitude is going to determine how great or how horrible tech is, whether it's 2 hours or 10 hours, right? Because like Rich Guido says, make it social. Just understand you're going to be in line for a while and, it's better than a day at work. Okay. Hang out, meet people. That's how true. We met. We met in tech at Bandamere.
Yep. And I walked up and I said, hey, you helped me with setting up my car for a road race course. And if there's anything you need this week, you let me know. And you said, if you see that piece of shit wagon broken down on the side of the road, you need to help my wife.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, done.
and we've been friends ever since. It turns out that we like a lot of the same stupid crap. So, and that's why it's fun.
No, exactly. And then, I mean, again, going back to the rules, a lot of people have really, really, really tight rules and strict rules. And that's been a necessity of those deals because they become what they become. Like the drag week, they've had a lot of stuff kind of from the beginning that they've worked with, that they've worked through the rules, like the guy bringing like the full size car trailer and, the guy bringing like an entirely different long block that he was planning on switching out, stuff like that. That they've had to get that stuff tight because it was the only game in town for a long time. And a lot of guys would come to cheat. And that happens, dude. Guys will come to cheat.
Absolutely.
And so like the race week, there's like 4 or 5 rules for each class. It's a lot less stringent of a deal than the other ones, but it doesn't mean that you still can't bring Uncle Jeb's rickety pile of shit with a blown alcohol motor in it. Like, you still have to bring a quality solid car. And kind of going back to what you were saying, like it's all tire and weight based. Really, drag week's kind of the same thing. It just goes down kind of ad nauseum. It goes in, each piece goes into each little, you can't have this and your intercooler has to be here. And, if the tire does this and if it's got a front balance, now you're in a super street category. And there's a lot more because people press those limits as it went through the years.
So, Daniel Hoffman is saying that's a good mention. How do you know that it's not the same engine block?
That's because 1320 video and Bang Shift and everybody on the planet is watching you thrash on your junk in the starting or in wherever you're thrashing on your junk.
Yeah.
So people will know if you are switching stuff. Now at race week, you can switch your engine if it's catastrophically failed. And you can continue in the deal. I don't think that's the case in drag week or in sick week.
And I'll tell you that the reason that the engine rule came about, is funny because it was very short-sighted. And I love Freiberger to death. He and I have known each other for a very long time. And if he was sitting here next to me, I would tell him he was an idiot on this one. And he would laugh and go, okay, I get your point. So the idea was that if I had a 6-second, race car that couldn't possibly make it down the road. It would be against the rules for me to pull the engine out of it and put a small block Chevrolet under the hood to make the drive every day, and then take that out and put the race motor in and then race it. And I have to say to that is, oh, hell yes, you can do that. If you think that you can absolutely do 2 engine swaps a day, because that's how many it takes, 2 engine swaps a day, and make it down the road and do all that shit, and that's what you have to do to win the whole event, dude, bring it on, big dog. Bring it on. That is crazy. Nobody in their right mind would want to do that, but I love it.
The only one I could think of that I would really like to see, and especially in one of these stick shift classes, is a Volkswagen Bug. Because you could pretty easily just plop, and you could put in your methanol, 2200 with a turbo on it, and then swap in your, dual port 1600 for the street drives, whatever. But yes, so whatever. That's just what it is. That just is
Rich Ito says he wants it to happen, and he's the Canadian Chuck Norris, so he has spoken. Therefore, it shall happen.
Yeah. Plus, he'll choke you out if you even think about it,
dude. So. And he doesn't even have to punch you. He just wraps you up, and then
turns you into a small. He folds your clothes with you in them.
Yes, exactly. Which is hard to do because I barely fit in mine.
right, exactly.
Okay, so let's roll along, because I know that we could do this for like 11,000 hours. So we've talked about classes a little bit. Keep in mind, all of the events have different classes, except Sick Week and Drag Week. They literally have the exact same rules and classes.
And I think Midwest Drags too.
Oh, does Midwest use theirs also?
I think they use Hot Rods.
Oh, okay, well. Gotcha. So check them out on the websites. They're all below. My understanding is there's supposed to be another one, a drag and drive event happening in Oklahoma, which I live in Texas.
Correct.
But what is? I couldn't find anything about it.
So Nick, who is the manager at Thunder Valley, is doing this deal. And
gotcha.
I'm not 100% sure what is all going to be involved. And I'm not sure exactly even what they're calling it. But it's on Thunder Valley's social media pages.
Okay, gotcha.
Who's under new ownership, by the way, at Thunder Valley. And they're tightening that place up a little bit too, which is super cool.
My understanding, based on a couple of conversations, okay, and it's happening. Ray says it's happening in April, and it's just a weekend. That's great. Thank you, Ray. Appreciate that. My understanding is that the staff there at Thunder Valley is going to stay primarily the same. They're being given more money and more resources to be able to make some of the improvements that had been, let's say, planned to be done over a few years, that will be done quicker now. And so my understanding is that like over the next 24 months, you're going to see some pretty significant changes there. Some changes within 6 months, which is going to be really awesome. So very cool. I like that place. I like going there to race. I think it's a fun racetrack to go to. It's close for me. It's Oklahoma. I'm in Dallas. It's a couple hours away. But it's cool. It's a cool racetrack for sure.
No, it's super cool. And then, if you watch the Discovery Channel shows, those dudes show up at those races. Yeah. They don't bring their cars, but when we're there for race week, like they're over there drooling all over Guido's car like everybody else and going, "Shit, I can't believe you drove this down here, man." Like Big Chief was standing there next to him going, "You're fucking crazy, dude. Are you kidding me?" So yeah, that's kind of cool if you're into that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, and which that's a really good segue into the influencers discussion. So every one of these events has fostered and or birthed an influencer or 20. Drag Week, Alex Taylor started with Drag Week. Kyle at 1320 Video and I were both starting our businesses right around the same time. Bang Shift and 1320 are basically the same age. We stood on the wall next to each other for many years on many of the events while I was racing and doing photos and video and what have you. And Kyle was doing all this great video. And that's how we became great friends. And I think the world of their entire crew, they're awesome. Him and Matt are great. Fred's cool. Everybody, Witty, everybody over there at 1320 is great. And speaking of which, Cletus McFarland, aka Garrett Mitchell, is, was a major player over at 1320 Video. He was one of their social media guys. I met him the first year of Rocky Mountain Race Week, working with him, doing a TV show that we were trying to put together for the event. And he was part of the 1320 staff that was helping us. And so we sort of did this co-production, and that's where Cletus McFarland was invented.
Yep. And it was Tom Bailey's car.
Yep.
And he did his sort of Cletus impression on video to Tom's car, and look at this, brother, and this thing's got full of bald eagles, and the thing just took off like wildfire, which is great. Good, super good for him. And it was, dude, at Sick Week, he opened up the Freedom Factory twice for us.
And it's cool. It's a neat little place.
It is super duper neat. And yeah, dude, I wish him nothing but the best. He's awesome.
And there's a lot of influencers that come and do these events. And one thing that you have to remember, people, is that all of the influencers that do these events, like, Derek at Vice Grip and Garrett and, Alex Taylor and all of them, they do it because they love this stuff. Okay. Yes, right. They can make content from it, but they don't come out and do it because it sucks. They would stay home and make their normal content, which is way easier and cheaper and, and less work. Right. So, they come and do this because they love it. Now, it always causes some controversy every year at every event. Somebody says that somebody got special treatment because they're, Cletus or they're Alex or they're whoever, right? And I cry bullshit on that. The truth of the matter is somebody gets Klaus. Somebody gets some preferential treatment at some moment in time, every event, when somebody has, a problem with whatever. And the guy at the, starting line goes, it's okay. Just rerun it. It'll be fine. Whatever. That's just called being nice and letting people race. And it is what it is. Now,
honestly, all of the guys running the events, Keith Turk, I spent a really good morning with Keith. Super, nice dude, kind of the same deal. If you have a problem and you go talk to him, he's gonna figure out a way to make it right. Whatever that problem is. Matt is the exact same way. Like Matt with Rocky Mountain Race Week literally will walk through the pits and ask every single person, dude, are you good? Is everything going well? XYZ, and he'll make concessions for you if you had problems. And that's the thing at the end of all these, is that none of these people, if you're an influencer or not, are looking to string you out ever. They're always going to look to do the best for you at the moment and help you out and get your program down the track once, so you're still in competition.
Yeah, and so one of the things to remember about these drag and drive events, and this is a pretty critical deal, this is not drag racing. This is running cars down a drag strip. It is not drag racing. No two cars leave the starting line and are actually racing as far as the competition is concerned. Now, Adam and I may line up against each other and we're sure as hell racing, right? But not as far as the event is concerned. So you have to remember that. And the reason that's important is because if I pull in and I stage my car and I'm having some problem or it won't build boost because we're in Denver, and Adam's smarter than me and he has a blower, so it runs off a belt instead of a turbo, then he leaves the starting line like a normal person, and I'm sitting there trying to build boost, waiting, and I end up with a 2 or 3 second reaction time because it takes that long for this thing to build boost for me to leave the starting line. That's just how it is at these events. And you have to remember that part of that is because the majority of that, is because these cars are not race cars. They are not actually being raced, the majority of them, on the weekends at home or what have you. So these guys are not used to, lighting the top bulb, waiting for the other guy to get in. He gets in both bulbs. You bring the thing up, build boost, bump it, light the second bulb, the tree comes down and you let go of the button. That's how we do it when we're racing, but that's not what most of these people's experience level is. So you have to remember that. With that in mind, Sick Week did something that I really do like and I think is cool, but I do think it needs an adjustment, and that was the 1 second reaction time rule. So in order to keep people from sitting there for 5 seconds, and in order to get cars going down the racetrack together, which is safer also on the one hand, then they made the 1 second reaction time rule. There were some people that were in the 1.2 to 1.5 second range every day who were not lollygagging in the grand scheme of things and really could have used that being 2 seconds, which I think some of the other events will end up going to before it's over. But overall, I think it's good, because the one thing that, has come along as these events have evolved, right? And Matt started doing this when he started Rocky Mountain Race Week, is that cars were going down the track based on class. And the reason for that was so that Adam in his 11-second, stick shift Malibu wasn't racing against Larry Larson in a 6-second flat car, and perhaps leaving first, right? Adam's out there first because Larry's sitting there trying to build boost. And Adam's at half track when Larry goes by him at 200 miles an hour. That's scary and dangerous, not a good deal. And so this reaction time deal changes that. And I think it's for the good. Don't you, Adam?
I agree 100%. Not only is it safer, it's cooler to watch. So on the live stream, it's not, there's a car and there's a car, whatever. So I think all that stuff is good. And on top of that, it was cool to call races side by side.
Yes.
And especially kind of how Sick Week did with the A, B, and C classes. So the A classes are 8:49 and faster. The B is 8:50 to 9:99. And C is everybody else, I think, is how they broke that down.
Yes.
So same deal. You get a 1 second, and then you're an 8:49 car, and you're racing Larry Larson with a 6 flat car. You guys both kind of know what's going on. There's a 2 second difference. It's not a 11-second car and a 6.0 car going side by side. And on top of that, you get different layers of drivers as well. A guy that's in that 8:49 and faster car has been through all of the licensing stuff, can handle a car that's an 8:49 to a 6-second car and is used to that. A guy with an 11-second car has no license, probably has lap belts still in the thing, no roll bars, whatever, and maybe only does this every year. And so that guy's going to not stage right, X, Y, Z. So you put all those people together and they can kind of do their own thing and sort of, for lack of a better term, clown around. The A group and B group guys have their shit together and they're actually making passes and not burning each other down.
Well, and one thing Bill Fowler mentioned, he liked the A, B, and C deal on Sick Week, and I do too. It does simplify it instead of calling up 5 or 6 or 10 classes. I will say that I think it needs an adjustment, and I think Adam's going to agree with me on this one. So the unfortunate part of doing this is that at no point are you going to make everybody happy, right? But you try and do everything you can, right, to make sure everybody's happy. So the truth is that if you're Tom Bailey and you're driving his Camaro that runs, low 6s, and you have an hour of run time for the A group, it is very unlikely that you're going to be able to run that car more than one time in that hour.
Right.
It's possible, don't get me wrong, and please don't jump on me. I work on Pro Mod teams. I can turn around a Pro Mod car in 20 minutes. I know. But on this, you have you and your co-pilot. You don't have a crew, right? So generically speaking, you're going to run once, maybe twice during that hour, but typically only once if you do make a good full pass. So I believe that they should make the A group only 30 minutes long and let them, so everybody gets a run and then go to the next group. Because when you're in the C group, the B group is all over the place, but the C group, those guys can hot lap their car a lot of times, right? So that's 30 minutes less time that they potentially have, to run, because A group is sitting there where we didn't have cars running down the racetrack. That was my only criticism on that. And again, that's a fine little tuning point. That's not a big deal. That's something we can easily, figure out and get set, And
it was really nice also for track prep for the same exact reason. A C group car that can hot lap does not need the prep that a Tom Bailey 6.0 car, even though it's on, big steamroller tires.
Yeah.
It needs a lot of prep.
Yeah.
The 12-second car, that's still a, super cool car. Don't get me wrong. I like your whatever 12-second pickup truck with nitrous on it. I think that's cool. But it just doesn't need the prep that car needs. So that was the two things I noticed. Is I think I would maybe run the A and B groups together and maybe keep it the hour.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh, I got you.
Because then you keep the track prep good. And I also loved how he had the track prep broken up by a radial lane and a slick lane.
Yeah, and the only downside to that was that there were so many more radial cars, obviously, than big tire cars. So at some of the tracks, Gainesville in particular, they were radial prepping both lanes when all the radial cars were running, and then let that wear down basically. And then it was time for A group to run again, and they made the left lane slicks and the right lane radials. But that left lane was still too tight. Gainesville was way too much prep, and none of the big tire cars got down that racetrack without hurting things. Literally none of them. It was much too tight. And I'm not bagging on the guys at Gainesville. That's a tough thing to do. They had great racetrack, had an awesome time there. Was super glad to go, which is weird for me to say because I don't like Florida. But I've raced there. I've crashed there. I like that racetrack. So, but yeah, Joe Barry, he's like, yes, way too much prep at Gainesville. Yeah, it about tore his teeth out, but still, it was good. The other thing to me that is interesting is the number of people who, were trying to sneak in the lanes. I'm going to let Otis in. You talk a little bit about that one, because you run the lanes from the tower at Rocky Mountain Race Week, so you know what that's all about.
No, and that's a thing for sure, man. Everyone wants to kind of get their passes in and do their thing. So, they make their pass, they scoot back around and get right back in the back, and it's tough. It's a tough thing to police. Rocky Mountain Race Week is going to do some sort of a run card sort of thing. I'm not sure exactly what Matt's got planned, but he said he's got something for going on the windshield, and then you can actually mark passes. And that's what we'll do rather than timelines. Is we'll do number of passes. On top of that, like I heard Chad mention earlier while I was driving home, by the way, it's like, dude, it's like 7 degrees here. It's just no good.
It's like 20 here, and Otis was an asshole, remember, and I let him out. He's been out that whole time, so now he's been at the back door like, okay, let me in.
Man, I get it, shit. But no, so we're gonna do like a run card kind of thing, and then like you were saying, like we race at night, we drive in the day, so we have 8 hours a track time open, and a lot of cars aren't there like at 3, so we'll have like some free run type of stuff. Christy Lipinski, I am eating homemade beef jerky from Stevie's dad, which is fantastic. She went back this weekend and brought home some beef jerky for me. Anyway,
Christy Lipinski called her husband that asshole on a video interview that I did with her, and it was the most epic one. And I got more comments on that interview than any other interview during Sick Week.
Well, yeah.
It was epic.
Have you ever met Rob? Rob's
I have. Asshole. I love him, but he's an asshole. That's why he's friends with ours.
But anyway, so definitely that's a thing, and people will definitely kind of get back in line, and it does screw up the whole deal because you guys think you're being fancy every computer system in every tower tells us how many runs you've had. It's just one of the deals that's in the like CompuLink system. So like you think you're being sneaky, but like you're not. So we just haven't. We kind of let it go to this point, and we're not gonna do that anymore.
Right.
So we're gonna keep everyone kind of honest and make it as fair as we can. So if you got 4 runs and there's guys still out there with 1, guess what, man? You're gonna pack your stuff up and you can watch racing now.
Right.
But that's another thing that we were talking about with Sick Week is kind of the timing of the runs and or run cards or something like that. You may see that on one of those in the future for sure.
Chris Nelson is saying, what does it matter how many passes? The reason, Chris, is because they were cutting in line ahead of people who hadn't gotten to make runs yet, who were waiting in line. So
yeah, and
that was a combination of the lanes and people just being like, no, I swear I haven't run, so
that's another thing we do at Race Week. And I think you'll start seeing it kind of happen more is we have an express lane. So if you haven't had a run or you've only had 1 run or you've only had 2 runs, depending on how the night goes, those kind of 1 and 2 run cars are going to get a special lane to run out of. And I think that Sick Week guys were looking at doing something like that too.
Yeah. So, we're talking about differences, between the events. So I've got some notes here. And a couple other people have mentioned that they thought that the road portion on Sick Week, was so much nicer because it was shorter. I have to tell you, maybe it's because I had to haul my stupid kid around taking photos, but I didn't have any appreciable sense that it was shorter to me. So I know it was, but it just didn't feel that much shorter to me.
And really, I think at a certain point, just running miles to run miles maybe doesn't make sense. I mean, a 200-mile drive and a 300-mile drive, you still have a wicked streetcar.
Yeah, exactly. And
so
my event is going to be a weekend event, and mine is going to be somewhere in the 125 mile, deal, because it's a shorter event. It just is what it is.
It just is. It has to be. And but like and the same deal, like Rocky Mountain Race Week, the 1.0 event is always going to have long drives because the tracks are far apart.
Oh yeah, but that's why you also have 2 drive days, which are awesome.
They're so cool.
They're so much fun.
Yeah, if you guys haven't checked that out, like look at some of the previous Bang Shift stuff on YouTube. They replay a bunch of the racing we do and stuff. But there's days where you get a full day plus that morning to work on your crap to get it ready for that night. Again, that does follow like a 350 or 400 mile drive on occasion. But that stuff is brutal, and especially in like this last one in June in 100-degree heat, that stuff was insane.
Yeah, but you know what? If it's a streetcar, then there you go.
Exactly.
So a couple of people said, like Dom, who was on here earlier, he said that he looked at Sick Week and just felt like it was more laid back on the road, which would make sense because the shorter drives, right? I also think it was different because he wasn't riding with competitors like last time or like normal. So I think he's been riding with the wrong competitors and not getting to have any fun on the road, which is a downside. And speaking of not having any fun, I don't know how else to put this. The people that were on Sick Week are the no partyinest sons of bitches I ever met in my life on one of these events. And I am so disappointed in you people. I can't even vocalize it. It took till the end of the week to make it through Biggin's beer. That's just despicable.
It's a little bit
disgusting.
criminal.
You should be ashamed of yourselves because I was making margaritas in that thing and drinking beer in that thing every day. I was doing my part,
right?
And I didn't have enough time to drink as much as I wanted because, again, kid. But I wanted to be drinking more, and you people let me down by not drinking more. I'm just saying.
P.S. That's a good note that the overall winner of Sick Week, towed a trailer with 2 full kegs in it the entire time.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know the last time you lifted a keg of beer, but in high school those were a lot lighter than they are now, but they're still heavy.
Yeah. Yes, that's true.
So
they were both cheaper and lighter back in college. Let me tell you.
Yep. Yeah. No, exactly. So that's even badder ass that that Corvette was able to tow that trailer that was not light. Biggins' trailer is heavy.
It's big. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Christy says parking lot parties were lame on Sick Week, and which, a girl has spoken. Right. Okay. So, let's see what else. Blah, blah, blah. Beer.
Oh.
Express staging lane. Beer.
Beer.
Dude, you going old school, dude.
I love the old banquet. That's the
it's
jam.
Good. It's good.
It's only brewed at one place in the entire world, and it's about 15 minutes away from here.
I was going to say, and if you come on Rocky Mountain Race Week 1.0 for Road Week or as a racer, you will get to go by it almost every time. It's been a checkpoint and not a checkpoint, but we always drive by it. So,
Right. Yeah. And unfortunately with COVID, they have the tours shut down, but they'll give you 3 free beers when the tours reopen. That's the jam right there for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of like Road Week, Sick Ward, dude, that stuff is cool. And honestly, the cars that were on the Sick Ward at Sick Week were spectacular.
Dude,
super cool cars.
The yellow 55 Chevy 150 handyman 2-door wagon gave me lumber, and I walked up to them at the world's worst host hotel that had a parking lot that was this big. And anyway, walked up to them and said, "It's a handyman, right?" And they said, "Yes." And dude, stunningly beautiful, perfectly restored car, wide white walls, like a butternut yellow color. It was so rad. Yep. And there were 5 of them in it doing the entire trip, dude. It was so cool.
Right. And they were driving the thing and got it out of the freaking garage. And there, I kind of always bring it up about this time every year. There's a great interview with Doug Klein, and it's, and he was talking about getting your bullshit out of the garage and going and enjoying it. And if you don't, you're going to die, and your kids are just going to sell it because they don't know what the hell it is. And then Doug
or
Klein's
that it's fun because you never showed him it was fun.
Exactly. And Doug said, "I'll buy that thing and I'll throw my wife in it. And we'll go to the drive-in." And, that's not really what you want to do, man. So it was super cool to watch those people, take their stuff out, and especially that, that 55 is probably $125,000 car.
Oh, it was so cool.
So cool. And out, enjoying it and driving the thing around and getting a little bit of rain on it. And that's what you do. That's what cars are for. So that stuff is super neat. And I'm really happy to see other events kind of getting involved with that deal and giving people that maybe don't want to race, but want to take their stuff out of the garage and go hang out and rub elbows with people like Tom Bailey and Alex Taylor and Cletus and those kind of people. That's a super duper cool deal. Plus Sick Week they fed those dudes.
Yes.
They had like food trucks
on a couple of the days. And
yeah, that's super neat, dude. That's super cool.
Well, and I was the voice of Hot Rod Power Tour for many years. Had a great time doing that. I've done a jillion power tours before that. And they were always fun. But those you go to a car show each day, right? That's the destination. So if you're of the mindset where you'd like to do the road trip part, right? And go city to city, but you're a drag race fan, so you'd like to go and be able to watch some racing, then this is the perfect answer to that. I mean, it's exactly what it's for. It's great.
Yeah. And you get to watch racing every day. And then you get to be friends with these people, and you get to watch your friends by the end of the week racing their cars, and you were putting pump gas in your car next to Tom Bailey's freaking Pro Mod at the 7-Eleven, and and then you get to go watch the guy, run the thing and go 620s or something like that. That's yeah. Like I said, that's a super cool thing. I'm super happy to see people kind of getting involved with with that deal.
And so Road Week sort of, started that, right? We came up with that several years ago now, and it's been awesome. But there are several other things that have come to fruition because of drag and drive events. Okay. So, the Gear Vendors Overdrive, which has been around for decades and has always been crazy heavy duty, came out of the woodwork as the thing to put in ultra high horsepower cars, because people didn't know and they thought they were only for trucks and motorhomes. Not the case. I mean, I have one in my dually. I love it. I have one to put in my 56 wagon as well. They're great, right? There's a lot of parts that have come around from that, but there's a couple other things that have happened on these drag and drive events. So on Rocky Mountain Race Week, there's a couple of things that are very different than the other events. And one of those is that Matt and June pull a big enclosed trailer behind their toter home for the entire event. That's where the t-shirts are sold out of, tech, timing, everything is done out of that trailer.
The whole event runs out of that big trailer. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you don't ever have to go, where do I go to turn in time slips or any of that? It's always the same spot in the pits with you. Right. But one of the other cool things about that is that June has a Mini Cooper, a little bitty Mini Cooper. And one year Matt decided to just bring it so that they'd have a little car to drive around. And pretty soon everybody was asking if they could borrow it. Well, now it's available to borrow. So
it's the official Rocky Mountain Race Week. You
parts
screwed
car.
Up your, yeah. I'm sorry, I ate all your Stevie, dude. So Stevie just got home. I'm sorry to
and you
to
ate
switch
all
off.
her. You ate all her beef jerky.
I ate all of her freaking beef jerky, and look how nice she is. She went and picked up McDonald's. She knew this was going on because she looked online and saw our ugly ass mugs, and she bought me cheeseburgers because she's awesome.
I love Stevie. I know you do too.
The best.
But everybody, yes, she is the best.
Anyway,
okay, so there's the Mini Cooper is there. So if you break something and you need to go to O'Reilly's, you can borrow the Mini Cooper at the racetrack. And the only caveat is that you must tell Adam that you're going to the parts store so that he can make an announcement to other people to go find you or call you if they also need parts, and you must be the parts runner. And we've all done it at some point or another, and it's awesome. And
if you watch like the Roadkill, Mike Finnegan, the thing to go get a new drive shaft for the rubber duck.
Yes, absolutely.
So, yeah, dude, it's super duper cool, and it's been a really, really cool addition as well.
And Matt has been bringing a welder for years. And Nick Pluniak this year brought a welder, traveled along on sick week with his bus, and welded up a bunch of stuff, which was really cool. But it's really cool of Nick, but Matt has provided that every year so that people have that you can use. And because of that, and because of the Mini Cooper and going and hunting for parts, Motion Raceworks built a whole trailer to support you at all these events. So the Motion trailer that has all the parts on it and all the t-shirts and all that stuff came specifically because they saw the need to have parts there to support racers. And so that's why they're going on the drag and drive events with Tristan driving the trailer now. So it's awesome for sure.
And that's even happened. Like Drag Week did that in 2014. They had the Pep Boys trailer, and that thing bailed me out when I did, I broke a fan switch, and they had one inside that trailer. So yeah, dude, that kind of thing has grown, and it's been a super cool thing that's come out of drag and drive.
So two other critical things. Jeff, as I mentioned, hauling fuel. And this is Jeff McConnell, who's a veteran of many drag weeks.
I love Jeff. In fact, I offered to buy Jeff's car.
Yeah, Jeff is rad and has helped me do some really fun stuff over the years, including telling me, hey, you dumbass, your tune's perfect, so give it all it's got so that Daphne can run a big number when she ran her best run. So I owe that to Jeff McConnell. But the hauling fuel comment is because it's dangerous to haul fuel. and there are a lot of people that are hauling way too much fuel across the country in their trailers and what have you. And so Matt will haul your fuel for you if it's only race fuel. And that's really been a great deal. Brian, I'm going to say that Wibbenmeyer says that in 2015 and 16, him and his brother did Road Week by following Drag Week. And I will tell you that that is totally frowned upon, and they will absolutely kick anybody out that you are associated with. That is not allowed there. And that's why we made it allowed on Rocky Mountain Race Week. So that, and quite frankly, it's all because of the fact that Royce Payton and his wife and their little girl, Royce, drives the cool Mustang, right? With the big blower.
The Nightmare Mustang with the blower. Yep.
Yeah. And his wife and I believe her mother and their little girl were in the minivan following along, and literally they're at the gas station and Royce is checking the oil and his co-pilot's putting fuel in the thing, and his little girl walks out of the gas station with 2 ice cream cones and hands her daddy an ice cream cone and sits there eating ice cream with their daddy at a gas station somewhere in the middle of who know the hell knows where. Right. And that's what this shit is all about. So that is why this should be allowed to have cars follow if they are official. So you make them official. They are part of it as Road Week. And then every Road Weeker is allowed to help one competitor one time during the week. So you can be the savior. You can be the guy that saved Tom Bailey, right? Or Royce Payton or Larson or me or Dory or whoever,
anybody.
And it's awesome because it really does make it a fun aspect of the event. And the number of people, the first year that we did Road Week, the number of people that showed up at Bandamere and said, I'm doing Road Week because I was just kind of afraid. And my wife, who's riding with me on Road Week, was not sure this was a good idea. So we decided we're doing Road Week to check it out. And 95% of them are in racing the next year, which is super cool.
And what's really cool is that of that 95%, about another half of those have built a car for their wife now, because now their wife's like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. And they don't have to have anything wicked, but they got something that they can go compete with, and they can bring a husband-wife sort of team car, and or they built a car so they could race it locally because they saw how cool this was.
Yes. And you know what? Speaking of which, so, we keep talking about women on this, and so I might as well I don't want to announce this without Cody. I'm just going to tell you that we are going to be announcing here in the next coming couple of weeks a new award to add to Rocky Mountain Race Week.
You told me about this at Garlett's.
Yes, and it's going to be a very big deal. And Cody Hansen and I will announce that here in the coming weeks. Oh, Cody's here. So Cody, should I tell everybody? You tell me in the chat whether I should say anything or if you want to make an official announcement with me, or if you want to get on here and tell people with me, because I can make that happen too. But anyway, there is a lot of cool stuff coming in all these events. Sick Week is already on for 2023. It's going to be a big deal. Obviously, they haven't announced the dates and all the info yet, but that's going to happen.
It's still a year out, guys. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Quit freaking out. It's all good.
Okay, Cody says to go for it. So, all of you may not know this, but most of you probably do. My wife, Daphne, was the most diehard race weeker ever. Did every single Rocky Mountain Race Week. She got sick. Turned out she had an incredibly rare cancer. She thought she was just getting a cold on the way home from Rocky Mountain Race Week one year. We went through Yellowstone National Park in her race car, for 3 days and had a great trip. And when she got home, she just didn't feel good. Ultimately turns out to be this really rare cancer. Had an absolutely horrific year of fighting this cancer. I shouldn't say that. A horrific few months. And then an awesome summer where she literally told her doctors, you have to be done with all the shit by this date because I'm going on Rocky Mountain Race Week. And so I put another motor
I'm getting
in her
chills.
I know, right?
Chills.
I put another motor in her car, made it make more power, all this stuff, and off we went on race week. Cody Hansen, who is here in the chat, also a regular on Rocky Mountain Race Week with his wife, and similar scenario. She also got cancer, bone cancer, and she was a little tiny chick, just like Daphne. My wife, 100 pounds, soaking wet. So was she.
Morgan.
Morgan. Yes, Morgan. And the Daphne died in September after her final race week, after running her career best again, thanks to Jeff McConnell, and an amazing race week, an amazing time. And she went downhill immediately following that and passed away on her 50th birthday. The following year on race week, I'm in Kearney, Nebraska, and a young man comes up to me and says, hey, I don't know if you know about Cody and Morgan, blah, blah, blah. I'd like you to talk to him if you don't mind. And I went over and I knew who they were, but I hadn't, had any, big conversations with them. And I knew that Morgan was sick. And so I talked with Morgan, and Cody, and Morgan was just awesome. And she had planned on racing her stick shift car at Rocky Mountain Race Week, but because of the bone cancer, her leg was just in too much pain to do that. And so, but she was there and she was racing, and it broke my heart to see her. And at the same time, it made me so happy because she was just so strong and so cool. And as Cody said, started as a soft tissue and then spread all over into the bones, which caused blood issues and ECT. And the two of them, the point was the two of them were these incredibly strong women who were these little bitty things, who were badasses and loved racing cars and loved having fun.
And didn't Morgan pass the same day that Daphne did?
Yes, Morgan ended up passing away on Daphne's birthday as well, which was just freaky, weird, a sign, whatever you believe. It was meant to happen, and it did. And so Cody and I will always have that bond, besides the fact that we've lived through some very similar circumstances, although Cody and Morgan way younger than Daphne and I. But Cody hit me up a couple months ago and said, hey, dude, I was thinking maybe we should do an award in the girls' honor. And I'd been thinking about it for years and couldn't bring myself to do it. And so the minute he said it, I literally sent him a text message back. Awesome. Let's do it right now. And so we've come up, and we'll give more details on this, but we, at Cody's suggestion, and I love him for it, we are doing the Wicked Chick Award at Rocky Mountain Race Week this year. All of the women racers on race week will be entered into the competition to receive the award. Everybody is going to get a decal on their car that shows that they're a wicked chick. There's some other swag that's going to come along with that. There will be a trophy that I'm going to build. And anybody that's done Streetcar Super Nationals knows I build really big, crazy trophies. So I'm going to build the trophy for it. We have some sponsors that are going to be giving some prizes. There's some cash involved. It's snowballed, and it's going to be kind of crazy. And it's going to be the Wicked Chick Award, and it's just going to be for, the woman that embodies what it is to be a racer and a car person, just like the rest of us. And it's going to be really cool. So thank you to Cody for getting me off my ass to do it. It was a great suggestion, and we will have more details coming as to what all the stuff is, but we've had some really cool, interest and response from people that we've mentioned it to, both of us, and it's going to be awesome. So,
it's going to be so cool. So cool.
And it goes along with the young guns, like we've, already talked about. And we're going to do even more to highlight them this year. There's so much good shit happening in Drag and Drive events. And so if you guys, stick with us and come enjoy these things, right? Do these events, be a part of them, whether it's as a road weeker or a sick ward person or you're racing or whatever, and have a great time. You guys will, you're going to have a great time with these events, and it truly is going to be something special. So, Monty Fitzgerald, that's awesome, dude. We can talk about that. Monty Fitzgerald running a big money fun bracket race in Northern California. We're going to be doing live on Bang Shift this year. Monty is a super rad dude with a great family, racer out of Northern California. And we've been all over the damn California and Nevada racing together. And let me tell you, that boy is fun. Monty Fitzgerald is our kind of people, let me tell you. So
can't wait to meet him. I'm in.
So let's see here. Before I forget, I want to make sure I don't hit anything else. Okay. So questions. If anybody has Big John says that's sexist. Okay. Sure. Hey, Tambra. So yeah, dude, my buddy Trevor, who was one of our neighbors, knew Daphne real well. So, that's his wife. They live in Tennessee now. So super cool. Thank you.
Very cool.
Anthony Thomas wanting to start up an event in California. We should talk, dude. Okay. So ask questions. Anybody that's got, Leon, we're actually working on that as well. That's, another thing that, those of you that know that normally, when we're doing, it's over there. Yeah. Over there is the Beards, Burnouts and Beers logo. Lyle Barnett and I have a bunch of shit going on this year with a bunch of fundraiser stuff too. So stay tuned. So Justin Conrad, what is the most common mistake made by rookies? In my opinion, the most common mistake is worrying about how fast your car will go down the racetrack. Because 99% of the time, if you are working on things to make it faster, shit to make it just go will be what breaks when you're going down the road.
I think I heard maybe the best thing ever. And it was your first year in one of these, you should finish it to win it.
Yes.
Your second year in one of these, you should aim to be top 10 in your class. And your third year is when you should actually be looking at maybe winning your class or something else. But you should have 2 years of building up to that. There's a lot of learning, a lot of what to pack and what not to pack as a rookie that you're going to figure out. But really that first year, you're putting your toes in the water and you're getting the kind of a feel of the thing.
Yes.
Like Chad said, just finish it. Just go, have fun, see what other people are doing. Earlier you were talking about like there's going to be someone that knows way more than you, and there's going to be somebody that knows way less than you. Go in with that, dude. I am the way less guy, and learn as much as you can learn, and meet people, and have a blast. And it really is what you make it.
That's the biggest deal, is that it's going to be what you make it. Hap TV, Wino Super Street at Sick Week. I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that. I just don't. Let's see. Tatted Sailors. So do you really hate diesels on race week? From your commentary, it sounds like it. No, I don't hate diesels. I hate diesel smoke. Two different things. And I don't like the giant smoke show on the starting line. The ones that have a good stack are usually better. But I don't know. They're just something about them this year just drove me nuts because blasting everything on the starting line every time. So yeah. I don't hate diesels. I just hate diesel smoke.
Jake H asks, how's Stevie? Stevie went upstairs. I don't know. She's probably watching this. So there you go.
Miles of Mayhem. Yes. Hit me up. Chad@bangshift.com.
Chris Nelson asked about a 750 index class that exists. There's classes that are 750 limited. We just don't have enough cars that run 750. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a 750 car in a 750 class run 750.
Right. Ryan McElhenney, I think that's right, says, I packed way too much and not enough all at the same time last year on Miles of Mayhem. Matt Frost there is. So packing is a really big deal. And I would say that there are a bunch of you that, how do I put this? I'm just going to say so if you've never built anything but if you've never built anything but an LS, then you're going to pack all the wrong shit. So you should talk to somebody that has built other engines, because you're used to engines where if you buy any part, it bolts onto any LS engine. And that's just not how the real world works when shit's broken and you're trying to get down the road. So like, I can't tell you the number of people who have made fun of me for having a sheet of cork gasket material and a sheet of paper gasket material, and then needed said gasket material or my expertise to fix their junk because they didn't know how to fix something that was supposed to have an O-ring and whatever. So you need to be thoughtful on what it is that you're going to need for tools and what you're going to need for parts, and make that be a priority. Also, remember, and this is something everybody has done wrong since the dawn of drag and drive events, is that you need to make sure everything the car needs is with you. The only thing you need is a toiletry bag, okay? That's the only thing you need, because there's brown trucks and white trucks that deliver shit to any place you tell them to, including your hotels. You don't need to haul clothes. You don't need to do any of that. All you do is ship that shit to yourself. And when you get it, you get your change of clothes, 2 days worth of clothes. You put your dirty clothes in that box and send it back to your house, or throw that crap away. It isn't that big a deal. You got to be a little more creative. That would be one of my things.
I pretty much stopped packing shirts, and I buy shirts from racers. That's a win-win, because it gives them a little bit of gas money, and you've got a cool ass shirt that almost no one else has got. And there's always someone selling their shirts.
100%.
It happened again this year, and it's happened on a race week. People don't pack fire extinguishers. You need to pack a fire extinguisher, and you need to have it ready to use. And it can't be one of those little dinky, little shitty, put it on the roll bar ones. Like, you need a real fire extinguisher, because your car will possibly catch on fire on the side of the road. And that happened this year for that big block CUDA that was on nitrous.
Yep.
Tom Franks almost burned down his Fox Mustang on race week. Carry a real fire extinguisher. And if you have a trailer, carry an extra real fire extinguisher with you. Because it may not even be for you. It may be for the guy that didn't listen to this and doesn't have a fire extinguisher, and you might save his shit.
And if you are pulling a trailer, your fire extinguisher should be on the outside of your trailer, not on the inside of your trailer, on the outside, where you can immediately get out of the car and grab it to put out the trailer that's on fire or the car that's on fire. You know.
Yep. That the other thing I see that no one seems to pack is like an assortment of nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
So many things rattle off your car, and you will be in the middle of Kansas or the middle of Florida in like wherever. There's the only thing that's out there is gators and like dudes growing weed in their backyard, and you have no nut and bolt to put your alternator back on, and you're screwed. You're sitting there on the side of the road and you got nothing else. So those are my two big ones and it always kind of changes while I watch this stuff kind of evolve. But always, if you can't get it at O'Reilly's, you should pack it. So if you have weird valve train, you need to have spares.
So that's another thing too. Great point is O'Reilly's. And I use O'Reilly's as the example because I have an account at O'Reilly's, which if you come on Rocky Mountain Race Week, you get my account number to use, which gives you a discount. I don't have credit there. You have to still pay, but it gets you my discount, which has saved people hundreds and hundreds of dollars on different race weeks. So it works. But the reason I bring that up is this year we had a gentleman who came to the tower at Bradenton on the final day and wanted an alternator. And it was a Power Master alternator. And he had a very specific part number for the Power Master alternator. And I said, okay, but what is the application? He had no idea what the application was. And while I use Power Master alternators and I love them to death, and Daphne's car has one, if you break that alternator, right, then you need to know what the body is and the pulley setup is so that you can go to O'Reilly's and buy a cheap one. And when I brought this up to this gentleman, he goes, well, but this is a 140 amp alternator. And I said, okay.
Yeah, but
do you want to be able to go down the road? Yeah.
Right.
Or do you want the 140 amp alternator to run all, and it literally, it was like I was speaking a foreign language to him until I almost had to shake him. And he looked at me and went, oh my God, I understand what you're saying now. You need to know what it is. So in my case, Daphne's car uses an alternator that if you go for an 85 Chevrolet IROC Z, okay, it is the high amp 110 amp alternator with a V-belt pulley. The next year or the year after, it went to a serpentine. So sometimes you have to get the newer one and then get some other alternator from there and have them swap the pulley and you're good to go. And I have done that.
And a lot of times it is really, really close and you just need to reclock the alternator. That's an easy thing to do. If you've never done it, find one of those smarter people than you.
Yeah.
And say,
look on
dude,
YouTube.
Help me. Right. Exactly. It's a super easy thing to do. And the parts store kid probably won't know that. So you need to have a few options for some stuff. Like, hey, it's a 73 K10 truck or whatever. So the parts store kid doesn't go, no, dude, I don't have that. Well, you have that. It's just clocked wrong.
Right. Exactly. So it's funny. So fishing tackle boxes, people are saying that's a great one that holds an assortment, which reminds me. So Scott Liggett, Rebel Driver, who's on here and has done several of these events with us and is a very good friend of mine. And one of the most, what am I looking for? Like creative and smart and adaptive auto repair guys I know. Like he always knows. Yeah, he is. He does stuff really well, right? It's why he and I get along so well. So he brings a laminated photocopy, color copy of the wiring diagram for his truck. Yeah. It's genius.
That's so smart.
Absolutely genius. My dad is on here, says always bring an extra thermostat. Word. Totally true. Yes.
Yep. So yeah, no, that's it. And that's totally the right way to put it, is that I packed too much and didn't pack enough at the same time. Because once you get back, you realize how much of your shit you didn't even touch and how much of the shit that you needed that you didn't have, that the shit you didn't touch took up space.
Yeah.
That you could have put stuff you could have used in there.
Dude. Okay. Jack stands. You can get away with a cheapy little aluminum jack or even a scissor jack with an impact, right? But you need jack stands because some of you dumb sons of bitches are lucky you haven't been smashed by your shit. Let me tell you. And as Charles Wickham says, Lunchables, somebody else said water. Wickham will go for the Lunchables. Somebody smart will go for the water. But yes, you do need food and drink in your car and first aid kit and sunscreen. Daphne
sunscreen.
And bath towel. You need rags and a bath towel in your car at all times. Daphne always brought the first aid kit. And then every time I'd hurt myself and didn't want to use the first aid kit, she would be the one while I'm driving down the road going, you're not going to bleed on my car. And she'd tape me up or whatever. So yes, definitely. And then Stefan Rossi, you are 100% correct, my friend? Alcohol. You need alcohol to drown your sorrows, to, to like disinfect the bullet wound before Adam sews you up, whatever. I mean, you got to have alcohol.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a thing. And also, hey, good to have you on here, Stefan.
Yes, we were saying nice things about you earlier.
Yeah,
we'll say the bad things now, but
now we're going to
nice
talk. Yeah, now we're going to talk some shit.
Yes. Cody Hansen, Harbor Freight jack stands. Yes, the new ones are fine, dude.
No, and honestly, you're right. Like any jack stand is fine.
Yes.
To be 100% honest with you, but use a freaking jack stand.
Yes.
For crying out loud.
Right.
Yes, there's so many people that don't use those, and a lot of these tracks, especially Rocky Mountain Race Week tracks, the pits are dirt.
Oh yeah,
and that ain't it.
No. Oh, but Ray Shannon, this may be the I want one of these to bring the bumper dumper, dude.
No,
oh my God, that'd be awesome.
No, that's the jam. Either that or one of those ones that has the bucket.
Yeah.
That you can
that's the one. I think that's the one. It's in the hitch and it goes down. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tatted Sailor, I was watching your things about the fuel and the smoke, and I appreciate that for sure. And beer, food, tools, and beer, spoken like a real truck guy. Oh, here's the other thing. And I don't know if this is you, Tatted Sailor, but if you have a truck, dude, it needs a bed floor in it. You need to have a bed floor in it, even if it's wood or something and it's temporary and you put it in for being on the road, dude, it will make a difference. There are guys every year who like don't have wheel tubs and random shit, and then stuff falls out while they go down the road. It is no good.
Scott, my shirt size is a large, and I'd be happy to wear one of your Rebel Driver shirts.
Oh yes, dude, hold on.
Oh, are you wearing one right now?
I am wearing one right now.
Bam!
I am right now. That's totally funny. I forgot. That's awesome.
Steven Umberger, likely not going to get to Grand Junction, to be 100% honest with you. It's just we can't go from Denver to Grand Junction without taking I-70, and we just don't want to wad up 7-second cars on I-70. So it, and that was maybe in the in the cards when Utah still had a track, when they had that track out there, and I can't remember exactly. It was like Salt Lake City somewhere. That was maybe a thing, but unfortunately, you're on an island out there. So I do love Western Colorado Dragway. I drove my car out there, competed in a streetcar shootout, won, and drove my car back. Love that track, and my buddy Steve Wolf races on that track.
So, ICT car guy said, build a parts list with part numbers and applications in Excel. I'll tell you, when I had my hot rod shop and I was building cars for people, like my buddy Sean Stark, I built him a 66 Chevelle, and inside the glove box of that car was a little like 3-ring binder that was, little one. That was the one where the old fashioned one where you put business cards in it. And instead of business cards, the tag off of each radiator hose was in there. The cutout for, the every part, the water pump, the anything was in there. So literally to this day, he can go in there when he needs a part and he opens it up and he looks in there and he goes, oh, this is what I need. And like the radiator hoses on it, were not a factory radiator hose. So it was this part number. And then it had instructions that said, cut 3 inches off the, this end and 1 inch off this end. And that was the perfect radiator hose, so that stuff is smart to do.
I use a Sharpie and I put it all somewhere under the hood. And I just write down all the part numbers for everything. And, and kind of the same deal, just sort of, hey, this, because, you think like, oh, well, the belt has the number on it. Well, yeah, if the belt's 7 miles behind you, shredded into 1,000 pieces, that's not going to do you any good.
Nope.
So yeah, keep a list of that stuff and or what it fits stock. So, like I have a 9-inch in the Malibu, so it has Granada rear disc or rear drum brakes. So all the rear brake stuff is Granada stuff.
Right.
I just know that. So when I go to O'Reilly, I can say I have a 77 Granada and I can get brake parts for it. That kind of thing. Keep track of that somehow.
Yeah. Rain-X, always a good idea. The other smart deal is to make sure that you have got electrical. Like that's one of the things you want spares of: fuses, relays, some wire in like 3 or 4 different colors, crimp connectors. I don't care if you're a solder it guy or you're a solder seal connector guy or you're a crimp it and heat shrink it guy, whatever. When you're a I'm stuck on the side of the road guy, you need to just crimp your shit together.
It doesn't matter, right?
Tape it and get off the road. That is
Right.
one thing that rookies make a big mistake of, is they spend way too long on the side of the road trying to fix stuff. You need to get mobile and get to a place that is safe. Then you can spend all night sitting in a parking lot somewhere working on it. But doing that on the side of the road, dude, trust me, been on the side of the road at all hours in every state in the union, and it isn't where you want to be.
No, and that's not good either. And that's that's one of the rules on race week. We will allow you to tow someone to safety if you're in a bad spot. So if you've got a tow rope, or if the other guy's got a tow rope, then you're in good shape. But if you don't have a tow rope, then you're trying to figure your shit out.
Absolutely.
But and you just it's kind of the oldest like Army deal in the book, is you prepare for the worst and you hope for the best.
Absolutely. Also remember, some of these things sound funny, but like so Biggin, for example, Eric Yost, his trailer uses as a PT Cruiser rear axle in it. Okay. Because it's a nice drop axle, so the trailer sits low. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, because it sits low. Number two, because it's cheap. Number three, because parts, hubs, brakes, any of that stuff are all readily available at any part store, right? Because it's a PT Cruiser. The other thing, though, that he did with it was he re-drilled the bolt pattern to be 5 on 4 3/4 so that he runs front runners on it, which would be a backup for his car. So those things matter as well. And you can either have the hubs drilled or you can do bolt-on adapters. That's a good thing. Trailers, if you're doing a trailer, dude, call me or look up how to build a trailer, because some of you have no clue. If you're not used to towing a trailer, dude, put more tongue weight on it than you think, because if it doesn't have enough tongue weight, the trailer is going to bounce and beat the holy hell out of your car anyway, or result in them flipping over and all kinds of stuff this year, which we saw in Sick Week multiple times. And that was primarily because these trailers were being put onto cars they weren't normally on, and the hitch arrangement and everything was different, and the angle of the dangle was wrong. And so some of that stuff just went sideways. It was not good. Choctaw Street Cars, RTV. Yes, you need to have a myriad of chemicals. I always have a tote that is only chemicals. So you got oil, trans fluid, gear oil. Although if you don't have gear oil, that's not the end of the world, because any oil will work to get you down the road, especially if it's synthetic. It doesn't matter. And brake clean. I like to bring a little bit of acetone, because you cannot weld anything you clean with brake clean. And then you're going to want thread sealer. You're going to want gasket maker or RTV. You're going to want spare gaskets, whatever kind are normal. I always have a set of header gaskets, because we run a traditional small block Chevrolet with a traditional small block header bolt pattern, which means they leak at some point in their life, and see, okay, Eric Yost, he brings 2 kegs in case one gets emptied on accident. See?
On accident.
This is exactly why. Yes. This is why we're friends.
I like those grease, like whatever the hell towels, those like grime towels or whatever the hell they have.
Yeah. That are like the hand wipes that are, they're badass.
Those things are cool. I've cleaned wheel bearings and shit with those. They're good.
Clint Sadowski, one of the prettiest Camaros on the trip, and he says a can of Flex Seal. I want to see you use that shit on that thing. I'm just telling you.
Hell yeah.
My dad says push rod, a rocker arm, gaskets. Yeah. You don't need to bring a whole set of rocker arms unless your junk has problems all the time, but bring a couple.
Or, yeah, exactly. Bring a couple.
Tubbo towel.
Does have.
Rod Hagen says it's Tubbo towel.
Tubbo towel. That's exactly it. Yep, yes. That's the stuff. Those are great, man. I love those. Those things are great. But yeah, Matt's bringing a bunch of rocker arms, some Crowler stuff. He bought like a bunch of like weird spares from stuff. Obviously, Lewis from Crowler is on the race week stuff. So if you got Crowler shit, you're pretty much set on spares. But yeah, dude, all that, fuel pumps. We cooked every year. We've got a thing. It's either valve train or fuel pumps or whatever, all sorts of stuff. So, anything that you can't get at O'Reilly, 2 is 1, 1 is none. You better have a spare.
Yeah. Okay. Joey Greer, who we met on Drag
Gold
Week
Bond
a million years ago. I love that. Charles says Gold Bond, but Joey Greer says that we forgot extra medicine and health needs. And he's right. So if you have a prescription you have to take every day, you need to get a second bottle of that shit and put it somewhere else where it won't get left in a hotel or whatever else or lost. Like have one in the car and one in the trailer, like so that no matter what, you have your medication. Joey is diabetic. And so anytime I'm leading the clan, we'll be at a gas station and go, hey, did everybody want to go eat here pretty soon? And Joey's like, yeah, I got to eat pretty soon. Although he's smart and carries his own cooler and all his shit, but Joey will then say like 45 minutes later, Chad has still not pulled over somewhere to eat. And he'll send me a message like the diabetic kid back here would really like a snack, and conversely, when you have him around and you get hangry, he just walks up to you with a Capri Sun and gives it to you. And he's like, here, drink this. And it fixes everything. Joey is the best guy to go cross country with. I'm just telling you. Yes.
No, he's awesome.
Jerky. And yes.
And he's got really, really good moonshine.
Yes, true. So does Biggin. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Okay, so I've been live almost 2 hours. So let's I don't give a shit, but you guys add if you have more specific Ken's cars, don't forget the oil mats, pig mat. Yes, bring pig mat or whatever. Like if you make a big mess in the parking lot, it sucks. Yes, I always bring a drain pan. Yes, a drain pan.
Just a cheapy one. A cheapy one's fine. But something to put oil in it because you may need to dump the oil out of the thing. The other thing that I like to bring that I've just recently started is paint filters. If your oil is semi-new and you don't want to dump that shit out and you want to put it back in your engine, you can run it through a paint filter that's in a funnel. That's good. And yes, bring money, says Jeff McConnell.
Jeff McConnell is right. Cash. You need to have some cash. That's not a lie.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have cash money because at the end of the day, if you need something and you're in the middle of freaking nowhere, the farmer that has the piece that you need probably ain't got Venmo.
Right. And legit, the number of people that have bought something off Craigslist or Marketplace in order to make the rest of the trip is legit. So you need to have some cash with you. My dad says lots of good flashlights. That is key. Oh, also, if you own an old car, all my shit, but if you own something old enough that it doesn't have flashers, like the 66 Bel Air wagon of Daphne's, it doesn't have hazard lights. They didn't have them in 66. So Kyle at 1320 Video had these great flashing LED round orange lights years ago. And Daphne, and he used them and we saw them and he was like, these are the greatest thing. The guys in Sweden had given them to him. So we got ourselves a set. We have them in every car. They're LED. The newer ones are rechargeable. Some of the ones we have use AA's. But anyway, they're LED. They flash. They strobe. They do all kinds of stuff. They're magnetic. So you can stick them to the back of the car. And they come in a pack of 4, I think it is. So you can put one down the road a little bit of ways if you're stuck. It's all pretty good.
And Finnegan makes the best point probably of all night. Bobby from Portable Car Hoist is a fucking legend. That dude is awesome. Yes. We brought him on a bunch of the race week stuff, and he was at Sick Week, and he's been at a bunch of the kind of the drag and drive stuff. I think that he got invited to, and is going to try to make it to Miles of Mayhem. but that dude is awesome. He does a lot of that shit out of his pocket. He's a bad motherfucker. So
he is.
Shout out to Bobby, dude.
Dude, Tatted Sailor, I love this guy. For the diesel guys, make sure you bring plenty of 5-gallon buckets.
What the?
That's gosh. Yes, Tristan
good.
Kimple, that is true. Not all heroes have corn dogs, but some do. Oh, jumper cables. Dad's right.
Or a little jump box.
One of those little jump boxes is pretty rad now. Yes.
Yep, and you can actually, in a pinch, you can jumpstart your car with a Milwaukee battery as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you can run your car on the Milwaukee battery for a long time if it's only running the ignition and a small fuel pump like a Holly Blue pump or something, if it's not fuel injected. Beer money, the entire ignition system, the ECU, all of that, but not the fuel pump. Only thing that ran off the big battery was the fuel pump and the starter. Everything else ran off of RC car batteries, actually. So, we lost Adam. But yes, so there's lots of stuff that you guys can do with cordless tool batteries. Oh, Tatted Sailor. Yes, you're right. So there are 3 gallons of oil in a Cummins. Yeah. That I didn't think about that. Jet Black trailer powered by the same battery as the car. Also very smart. Biggin has that in his trailer as well. You absolutely 100% of the time should have. He's back. You absolutely should have a battery in your trailer connected to a charge wire from your tow vehicle every time without question.
Sorry, I pressed the leave button instead of the chat button.
That's good.
I'm doing this on my iPhone because for some reason my computer wouldn't work and I couldn't get Stevie's to even turn on. So, yeah.
You were having issues.
Yeah.
Okay, I like this one. Racer X Garage says, be sure to bring tissues for when something with a blow through. Oh, when a Ford powered Fairmont with a blow through beats your Holly Dominator in the 850 class.
Yeah, that's Keith Fenstad with his green Fairmont with a blow through small block Ford. Yeah, that car is badass.
Air compressor is not a bad idea. You can now get one that looks like a cordless drill, actually, that runs on a drill battery. Yeah. And another smart thing, and my dad has this. So if you're an off-roader, you know that they sell kits to air down either 2 or 4 tires all at one time. You connect all the valve stems to one little deal, and you can even set them to a pressure, and it automatically airs them down, so everything's equal. But they also work to air them up to a set number, and so you can air both rear tires up at the same time, which is pretty cool. It's kind of a handy, cool thing. So
yeah.
Yes, drive shafts, U-joints, axle shafts, 4 for us dumbasses. Yes, there's all kinds of stuff. Stephen Mask, what are we drinking? I hate to say it, I am drinking iced tea tonight. I was feeling very dehydrated, so I am not drinking the alcohol tonight.
And I have a Coke. And I'm eating
ice
cream.
Kevin Guthrie says stick cars must carry many, many third members.
I think he broke like 3 of them on sick week, 2 or 3.
He needs a new rear end guy.
Honestly, he's selling one, and he's got like all the baddest, like 9.5 inch, 40 spline, all sorts of stuff, man. But yeah, unfortunately, bad luck. That thing, he's got that 56 with the Jeffco in it. But I hear that he's bringing Beluga, his big car, his like 62 Bel Air. I believe he's bringing that, and it's a Lenco car. Yeah, and he's going to try to win. He's going to try to win some money on race week this year.
The Cody Hansen says, and drive shafts. How many did the nitrous outlet Camaro go through on Rocky Mountain Race Week last year? All of them. Yeah,
3.
Like every drive shaft in the state.
While we're just yakking real quick, and kind of rounding this thing out, guys, race week, we're changing things up this year a little bit. Day 4, we're going to wrap up all your averages. So everyone's going to have all of their classes wound up by day 4. This is going to be really cool because it's going to give June a chance to get all that stuff tabulated for like a whole day to get that stuff going, which is going to be super cool. But
she normally does it all in like an hour and a half, but still.
And she's hating herself by the end of the thing. So having a full day is going to be awesome. But we're cutting that $15,000 pot in half.
Yep.
You win $7,500 if you win the fastest average, and then that last day we're doing that shootout. Super badass, guys. We're actually gonna be doing heads up racing for everyone $9.99 and faster, and then we're gonna be doing bracket racing for 10 flat and slower, and we're gonna have an 8th mile 235 class and stuff. So the other $7,500 goes to the winner of the top 16 shootout of that deal. So yes, Mr. Finnegan, Bill Armstrong's thing would work on that car, but I believe it has a mechanical clutch, so it would not. It needs to have a hydraulic clutch to use the bank shift Billy. But I'm actually running one of those in my car this year. Whichever one I bring is going to have a bank shift Billy on it, and that thing is super badass. You guys should go check that thing out. But anyway, I digress. Coming back to it, day 5, guys, is going to be so freaking sweet at race week because we're racing. We're going to have basically 4 days of qualifying, hand out a bunch of cash after that 4th day. It'll all happen on the 5th day, but everyone will kind of have their classes all sorted out. But this gives you a chance. If you had a crap day, Mike Finnegan, if you blow a drive shaft out of your car and you get a 20-second ET, which we're not going to give any more this time either, we're going to add, I think it's 5 or 6 seconds to your slowest ET for that day. So it may not be a 20, you'll maybe get a 15 and you can kind of stay in competition. We'll work all that out. But if you have a bad day, you can come back on day 5 and you can have a fantastic day and go win some freaking money. So that's going to be super cool. And we're kind of figuring it out on the fly, but dude, it's going to be super cool. And there's a lot more money involved in it. And it's going to change the whole game. Cannot wait to announce that.
One other smart little tip here from ICT Car Guy. He says he likes packing a few old 5-gallon paint buckets with good lids and a handle. They provide waterproof storage and can serve as a stool, chair, water carrying device. So I don't like buckets because they're inefficient use of space because you have empty space around them if you're putting a round bucket in a square area. But if you're smart about how you pack around it, it can be good. But having a seat is cool because your average tote you cannot sit on to work. It will crumble, at least under my fat ass. But a 5-gallon bucket is fat guy weight rated. So I like that. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Loctite for sure. Vinny Barboni. Loctite is always a good one.
And actually I like the Loctite like crayon.
Yes. Very good.
So it doesn't leak.
Yes. When you screw up and don't put the lid all the way on, or when you lose the lid under the car on the side of the road in Kansas, maybe that happened. And then you can just put a piece of like plastic wrap over the top of it and you're good to go. Oh, which pallet wrap? You know how you can get the little roll of pallet wrap with a handle? It's only like 6 inch wide.
Yep.
Yes. Bring that. Dude, when the shit goes down, that will hold a lot of stuff together. Let me tell you. CJC, yes, the old beer cooler behind me is rad. So, okay. Andrew Crouch says they have 5-gallon square buckets at Menards. We don't have Menards here, but God bless Menards. Square cat clumping poop buckets work better.
Oh, there you
like
go.
It.
There you go.
Eric Englert, good Lord, you guys pack a lot. Shut up, Eric.
Look, not all of us have 3,000 GTs with turbo LSs, man.
And all-wheel drive still.
That's so cool.
I
freaking love that car.
Okay, well, to wrap this up, because I want to make sure we've covered all kinds of fun stuff, but the ultimate deal Uncrustables are great at 3 a.m. according to Finnegan.
Those are good in many circumstances.
Yes. So here's the ultimate deal. I started this off by saying that drag and drive events, all of them are awesome. I then said all drag and drive events suck, because they do. At some level during the week when you're doing this, you are likely going to have an incredible highs and a couple of incredible lows. And ultimately, that just all adds up to being such an epic, really great reason to be alive. So you got to embrace that, right? There are differences in all of them. The original, the OG, is Hot Rod Magazine's Drag Week, but the experience is going to be the same regardless of which ones you go on, okay? But they all have slightly different personalities, and there are some things that are better done at others. But the beauty is that right now they're all learning from each other, right? So, Drag Week does something and somebody else doesn't like it, so they change the rule at their event and it makes something better or what have you. And that just keeps snowballing, and they're all learning from each other, and they're all making them into much better, smoother, cooler, more fun events. And so there's never been a better time. There are more of them coming. Like I said, I am planning my own event right now. I am working with racetracks that'll be in Texas. And I am not ready to announce a date at all. We have not chosen a date. It may be 2023 before it even happens, but we are doing all of this stuff because it's fun and it's cool, and we want people to have a good time. And big thanks to the companies that have supported this, like Gear Vendors and Motion Raceworks and 1320 Video and Summit Racing Equipment and Mickey Thompson. Without these companies, there would be none of these events, because nobody's getting rich doing this. So I assure you, like, I am not a guy who can write a check to put on an event. If I don't have sponsors that are going to pay for all this, I cannot do this. I do not have the ability to do that kind of thing. And Matt was the same way when he started this. And that's just how it is. So be supportive. When you criticize an event, make sure that you're doing it constructively. Bashing is not good and doesn't help anybody. Okay.
Yeah. And really,
please,
guys, they're all, like you're saying, they all have kind of their own flavor. I wouldn't say any of them are better than the other. Obviously I've been working on the race week one, and it's kind of in my backyard, so it's been my deal. But Philip Thomas, I think, made the best quote of them all. And he was actually working at Hot Rod when this happened. And it was when race week came out, and he was talking to the Hot Rod people. And he said, guys, high tide raises all ships. If all of these are working, then they're all better. It's a really, really, really good thing. And we're in a good space right now where they can all exist, and they can all exist together. And every one of them can announce another event right now, and they would all sell out. And that's super awesome.
Absolutely.
And it says a lot for the community. It says a lot for the people that do this kind of thing. And it says a lot for the guys actually putting these things on. And again, like you said, the sponsors that are willing to back the stuff. So it just means everything, and it's super duper cool. And if you're not a subscriber to Sick the Mag, go subscribe to that, because it's badass. That is a super, super cool for drag and drive community, like, only magazine that is badass. It's color cover to cover. There's like 4 ads in the whole thing. And, really, really good insight from people. Finnegan's got a couple of, Finnegan's got a couple of editorials in there. Yeah. And, Freiberger's got one. I'm in there. Read that stuff. Check that stuff out, dude. It's all good.
And, remember that, it depends on the event as to how the staff comes to be, right? But regardless, if it's drag week or it's sick week, where there's a ton of staff, all of them brought in and hired to do a job, still thank them. They still are working very hard to give you what you want and to put on this great event. If you're on an event like, Rocky Mountain Race Week, where June is there with a few volunteers, Matt is there with a few volunteers for tech. This year, there's going to be more staff than ever before. which Matt has some cool announcements on some of that. But nonetheless, there are a bunch of people that do this because they love it and they volunteer. And I mean, June is a great example, and I'll use June because I know exactly. Like, June had a full-time job until Matt decided this was a good idea. And then it snowballed into becoming so much work that she literally couldn't do everything that needed to be done with her and Matt working. And so now this is her full-time job. So
right.
Thank her, give her a hug, tell her you appreciate it. When you're going to go get a drink, ask her what she wants.
Right.
It matters. These people are all great people that are doing cool things for all of us, and we really need to make sure we show our appreciation.
Yep, absolutely. And, I mean, think about it. All these people that are out doing it have a normal job. Even people that are getting paid are probably getting paid less than they're making at their normal job. And they're doing it because you're out there doing it. So, yes, give people high fives and, tell them that you really appreciate what they're doing out there. And again, it's go do one, for crying out loud.
Yes, whichever one, just do one.
Any of them. Whatever's close to you, get out and go check it out. Even if you don't race in it, go spectate it and go walk around and just see what's going on. If you love it, check out doing like a road week kind of thing or a sick ward kind of thing on the next one. Or if you've got a car kind of ready to go, bring that stuff out, man. It is a kick in the pants. And like I tell people, like, if you're bored with your program, if your program sucks right now, if you're not having fun racing a 1050 index class at your local track, put some fucking carpet in your car and take it out and go drive it and go bring it to one of these things. And it's going to rekindle your love for this sport.
Yeah. And, it's even the number of people that we've both met who have like where Drag Week or Rocky Mountain Race Week or Midwest Drags or whatever is near them. And they're like, oh my God, I can't take the whole week off. But, I came over after work on Thursday night to watch the races at Great Bend because that's like 5 hours from my house. But tomorrow it's coming back near my house. So I just took Friday off. Right. And so a dude gets to watch one night of racing, gets to follow all the cars all day the next day, and then watch them race the next night. Like, that's rad. Right. And that gives a taste. Even if it's only that, it's super fun. You got to do it.
Yeah. And you're out, $30 for entry fees and whatever a hotel cost that night in Great Bend.
Yes.
Whatever, dude. That's the most fun you can have with your pants
on. Tristan, because while announcing in Gainesville, I announced that if you went and gave him a hug and just held it a little too long, was just really uncomfortable, then you would get something for free from the Motion Raceworks trailer. Tristan says officially he does not accept hugs for payment anymore. So
that's a damn shame.
It is. Tatted Sailor. Hit me up, chat@bangshift.com. Email me and we'll chat.
Yep.
Nope. I know I was bagging on the diesels. I'm not anti-diesel. So I'm not trying to make anybody feel that way. So let's talk. Danny Fatka said, I had not had a vacation in 15 years and had gone nowhere, but I attended for 2 days and then scheduled vacation for 2.0. I love it.
Hell yes. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, hey, there you go. Larry Larson in the house. Better late than never, Larson. Eric Yost, accident my ass. Yeah.
It was super duper cool to see Larry at Sick Week. He's kind of been out of the drag and drive world here for a few years, running the No Prep Kings and all that stuff. But kind of cool to see him back in his old stomping grounds. And he was riding with who was he riding with?
McGilton.
With McGilton. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Larson built that car and rebuilt it after McGilton had a little bit of a run in with the wall a couple of years ago. But just awesome car. Arguably, I've said it repeatedly that him and Doug Klein's Camaros, one old, one new, two most legit like street cars going. Larson's Chevy 2 obviously goes right along there. I've I've ridden all over the place in the Chevy too. And yeah, it's a Lenko car, but dude, that thing is like so street car. It's crazy and it's awesome. But
Yep.
But everybody, thank you for tuning in. Adam Dory, thank you for joining me tonight. I know that my invitation was last minute. You definitely brought more to the table, and I appreciate that for sure. I hope that this was eye-opening for some people. I hope that some of you watching got to see and understand what we're describing and why we're saying the things we are about how it sucks and it's awesome and it's all those things together. I hope that also it opens your eyes to understand that they're all great events, and you should really pay more attention. Because like I said, I found on Sick Week, I was really frustrated with the fact that there were a lot of people on all the sides who didn't have a damn clue as to what the hell they were talking about individual events because they'd never been. And they sort of had these prejudices or this, poor opinions of one event or another. And it's just not fair. They're all a little bit different, but at heart, they all have the same spirit and the same deal.
Yeah.
And a bunch of the same people doing them. That's why a bunch of these cars have like 5 windshield banners on them,
Yep. And at the end of the day, none of them are really in competition with each other. They all kind of exist on their own. And like I said, each of them can announce another event like next week and they would all sell out. So, just go do one of them and go check it out. And if it's that guy's one or if it's this guy's one or whatever, it doesn't matter. Go do it, and get out and pull your junk out of the garage and go have fun with it.
Absolutely. Also, everybody, I want to encourage you guys to, like and subscribe and do all those things. Follow us. We will be doing more of this. I actually am going to have another Drag and Drive specific show coming up in the next 3 to 4 weeks, with some big announcements. Some other things that Adam doesn't even know yet. So over the next week or two, I'm hoping to get some things finalized and worked out. And so we'll make some more big announcements. You guys are going to want to tune in. We're going to blow your mind. So Drag and Drive is alive and well. Totally appreciate you guys joining us. And can't wait to see you guys on the road somewhere or at the drag strip. Adam Dory, you're the man.
Chad Reynolds,
the man.
You are the man. I can't wait to give you some more awkward long hugs.
But I love them so much, so it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And at that Sick Week, I got a little titty grab too. So
you did that again. I know it was pretty good. I enjoyed it as well. Good. So fine.
Hey,
I think Derek Putnam was very uncomfortable with it, but whatever.
That's okay. He's got a little more indoctrination to happen here.
Oh yeah, that poor bastard. He has no idea.
Hey, thanks everyone for tuning in, and thanks for enjoying my tardiness. I apologize for not being here when it started.
We will see you guys next time. Can you hear me, Adam?
Yeah, I can hear you.